Welcome to the Independent Woman with Wine podcast, a podcast where I complain about my life and talk shit about other people's shitty life. Now, I mentioned to you all that I got high this past weekend, right? But what I did not tell you all why I got high this past weekend. Turns out my mom is coming to stay for an indefinitely amount of time. I don't even know if I said that word right, but that's what it is. She's coming and she's going to stay here for quite a while. Now, I am a 46-year-old independent woman with wine and who likes to smoke some pot every now and then. But smoking pot is not good for me. I have asthma. Don't tell that to anybody, but yeah, that's true. I have asthma. So when my mom is around and I do that with her, even though, I am an independent woman with wine, I the one paying my own bills. Heck, I am even paying for other people's bill. So I don't owe anybody an explanation. But that's my mom. It's that, not that I don't owe her explanation because, she gave birth to me, even though I didn't ask. I did not ask to be birthed, to be born, to be here. And yet I am here. Yeah, I don't owe her anything, but I really don't want to deal with her being disappointed in me. My mom has always been super controlling. Even like as a grown-up, me and my sister, she still tried to control us. From Brazil, because she's not here for most of the time, but she still tried to control. And I don't smoke pot as much as I used to it, so I thought, you know what? I'm gonna have a good fucking weekend before my mom arrives. Because I wasn't planning to smoke pot when she's here anyways, but I thought she's gonna be here. We don't know how long, so I'll do that and I'll be okay not doing for a long, long time while she's here. She also complains a lot about my wine drinking, my alcohol. My dad was an alcoholic. Uh, Basically, alcohol destroyed his life. He passed away almost 2 years ago. But anyways, yeah, she always brings that up because my dad was an alcoholic, blah, 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 blah. But you know what? It's under control. I do not drink in the morning. And yes, I drink most nights, but it's not every night. I do sometimes have an occasional night where I don't drink alcohol. Basically, how much I drink, it's not enough to make me an alcoholic. I drink 1 or 2 glasses at night. I don't have time to drink more than that because I have a full-time job, so I get home, it's already around 6:30, p.m. And so I have things to do, either like do some cooking or now I'm doing this podcasting, so I'm always busy. So there isn't really enough time for me to drink that much alcohol for me to turn into an alcoholic. You know what I mean? So I am okay with that, and her complaining about the alcohol, but she will see that I'm not drinking so much. Anyways, and the name of my podcast, it is called Independent Woman with Wine. But it's not every single time that I'm doing a podcast that I'll be drinking wine. Do I wish that I'll be drinking wine every single time? Yeah, I don't know how many times I'll be doing this recording, but hey, wine is good. I love wine. Since this podcast is also to talk about my broke ass of adult, with my mom coming, it's one more mouth to feed. My stepson is here every other weekend. So we had to cut a lot of things, like we don't go out as much anymore, and when we do go out to a cheaper place. There's a really good place near us that it's cheap and it's affordable, so we go there every now and then. Um, I am somebody who really enjoys going out to eat, having a drink with my food and having some fancy food. I love that. But it's not in my way of living anymore if I'm expressing myself. Uh, I am still drinking the bread and butter, the Chardonnay that I talked about last podcast, the year's 2022, the bread and butter Chardonnay. It's a pretty good wine. It's not super expensive and goes down smooth. I'm gonna say something that while this weekend was going through, and I was high, and while I was high, I was thinking a lot about this podcast. What do I want to add to this podcast? And I decided I'm gonna have this podcast to be my way out. Not my way out, my way of venting about life. I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one in this world who's like, I'm so fucking done with adulting. I am done with the 40-hour work schedule every single week, and doing extra jobs to have a little bit extra of money. I am tired, okay? I am tired. I am fucking tired. I'm fucking tired of adulting. And I'm a Gen X, right? Because, oh my gosh, I love those posts about Gen X. There's millennials and there's boomers, and between you two, there's a whole generation who can stand both sides. Listen, I cannot stand any side anymore. I sometimes wake up and I tell myself, I'm done with living. I am done with living. But I'm a chicken enough and not depressed enough to actually take my own life. And also I'm Catholic enough to know you're not supposed to do that. But I take one day at a time. One day at a time. One day at a time. And I try to make the best of it, I know somebody very, very close to me in my life who tells me they're just waiting for the sweet release of death. They don't do anything to make their lives better. They don't do anything to get themselves out of the situation that they're just complaining. And you cannot say something. You cannot make a fucking suggestion because God forbid you made a suggestion, they will just literally shoot your head off. I'm not joking. But I try. My whole life I try to make it better. I lived in Brazil. I moved to the United States. I lived in Cape Cod. I moved to Boston. From Boston to California. Back to the Boston area, And while I was here, I was for 10 years stuck in this job that I loved and I hated at the same time, And then I left after 10 years at this job that I love and hated at the same time. I left. And since then, I've been trying to make something good out of my life. I came up with the idea of this podcast. I don't know if the podcast is going to turn into anything because right now, nobody's listening and I don't give a fuck, so I'm just enjoying doing this podcast and that's what I'm gonna keep on doing. It's at the end of my podcast. I think this is the 5th one. Oh, wow. And I'm gonna read. I have not figured it out how to have a wine collection. I do, however, have an extensive cork collection. I love that meme. Because at some point in my life, it was so true. I had so many quirks. But I had to throw them away because I have no space. I live in a very tiny, small apartment. Anyways, until next time, hope you all have a wonderful time, whatever you're doing.